Discover the life and work of Robert Blomfield, an English photographer whose spontaneous captures of street life portrayed the essence of post-war Britain. Known for his ability to blend into the crowd and immortalize everyday moments, Blomfield's images give us a raw and intimate glimpse into urban life during the 1950s and 1960s. His captivating style allowed him to connect with a wide range of subjects, producing photographs that are tender, bold, and often humorous. Although he later pursued a career in medicine, his vast collection of striking images echoing the work of Henri Cartier-Bresson and Vivian Maier remained largely hidden for many years. Blomfield documented the dramatic changes transforming cities like Edinburgh, Glasgow, Glastonbury, London, and Newcastle, all while practicing his art. Among his many photographs are candid portraits, scenes of children playing in rundown streets, public gatherings, student life, and architectural evolution, offering a unique opportunity to rethink our understanding of British culture during that time. In this video, we explore his unique approach to photography, his early influences, and the powerful legacy he left behind. Join us as we celebrate the work of a photographer whose art remained hidden for decades, but is now shining brightly, revealing his incredible vision of the world he inhabited. My book, Through the Lens, inspiring quotes from master photographers, is now available for purchase. This book is a captivating and inspiring collection of insights, reflections, and wisdom from some of the most renowned photographers in history. Get your copy now. The link to purchase it on Amazon is available below in the description box. Robert Blomfield was born on March 16, 1938, in Leeds, United Kingdom. His father, George, was an enthusiastic amateur photographer, and Robert would sometimes help him develop and print the films he had taken during family outings in an improvised darkroom. At the age of 13, Robert borrowed his father's 35mm Leica 2 and began taking his own photographs. For his 15th birthday, he received a second-hand Conta. Robert moved to Edinburgh in 1956 at the age of 18 to study medicine. At the University of Edinburgh, he spent his weekends climbing with a mountaineering club. During the summer holidays, he traveled all over Europe, always on a tight budget. He became bolder and more imaginative with his cameras. Once, he cycled to Istanbul and back, alone, returning with a good record of the journey and hepatitis. In 1960, he acquired his single-lens Nikon F reflex cameras, which allowed him to be more precise with focus, aperture, and shutter speeds. It was during this decade, while photographing the streets of Auld Reekie, that Robert captured some of his most striking images. Passengers waiting for a bus on a fog-covered street, sunlight pouring through the windows of a bar, or the Forth Road Bridge under construction, emerging from the mist. Robert also enjoyed photographing children playing in the streets. His images are close yet discreet, raw yet kind, with echoes of photographers like Dennis Thorpe, Dorothea Lange, and early Don McCullen, who became familiar with Robert and his work through a mutual friend. In 1965, he met Jane Alexander, an art historian who worked at the Courtauld Institute. They had 3 sons, William, George, and Edward, and married in 1975. Jane inspired and promoted his photography, supporting him in everything he did. In the 1970s, Robert transitioned mainly to color slide film, with which he continued to document everything around him. This vast collection of images remained largely undiscovered, as he simultaneously worked as a general practitioner and never sought the recognition his work deserved. Sadly, Robert suffered a stroke in 1999, which forced him to stop using his beloved but heavy Nikons. However, he continued taking photographs with a small digital camera. In November 2018, 60 of his images were exhibited at the City Art Centre in Edinburgh. 4 months later, over 41,000 people from Scotland, England, Australia, Brazil, Russia, Italy, Finland, Spain, the United States, and many other places had walked through the doors to see the exhibition. In December 2020, he passed away just weeks after fulfilling his long-held ambition of publishing a book with his photographs. His family continues to share his remarkable photographic legacy. Robert Blomfield's photograph Autumn Students' Lunch, University Common Room, taken in Edinburgh in 1964, is a compelling study in both composition and atmosphere. The natural light streaming through the windows is the dominant compositional element. The strong diagonal rays of sunlight cut through the image, illuminating dust particles in the air and casting long shadows. This light defines the forms of the students and highlights the smoke from their cigarettes, enhancing the feeling of calm and introspection. Blomfield uses a one-point perspective, where the lines of the room, chairs, and tables draw the viewer's eye deeper into the space, leading toward the far end of the room. The placement of tables and chairs in a staggered manner enhances this depth, guiding the viewer's gaze through the scene naturally. The positioning of the students is carefully considered. On the left, a lone woman sits in isolation, her face illuminated by the light. Her solitary figure contrasts with the groups of students on the right, sitting in hushed conversations, absorbed in their thoughts. This contrast between solitude and community enriches the narrative of the photograph, suggesting both individual and collective experiences. The empty spaces between the chairs and tables give the composition a feeling of openness, despite the room being full of students. The negative space also serves to balance the intensity of the light, preventing the image from feeling overcrowded or chaotic. Blomfield skillfully captures the textures of the wooden chairs, the students' clothing, and even the smoke in the air. The hazy light filtering through the room evokes a sense of nostalgia, while the slightly soft focus further enhances the dreamlike quality of the scene. This photograph, titled Forth Road Bridge, Early Morning, North Queens, taken by Robert Blomfield in Edinburgh in 1962, is a striking representation of industrial development, captured in a highly atmospheric and evocative setting. The composition of the image is carefully structured to emphasize both the scale of the bridge under construction and the stark contrast between human development and the natural environment. The dominant visual element is the incomplete bridge, which towers over the row of modest houses in the foreground. The lines of the bridge create a powerful sense of depth and movement, drawing the viewer's eye from the foreground to the distant structures. Blomfield has masterfully used perspective by positioning the viewer slightly below the horizon, which accentuates the massive scale of the bridge. The vertical lines of the bridge's towers and cables provide a strong structural foundation to the image, while the diagonal lines of the construction work lead the viewer's gaze across the frame. The foggy early morning light softens the entire scene, giving it a dreamlike quality. The mist obscures parts of the bridge and background, adding a layer of mystery and melancholy. This diffused light also creates a sense of calm, despite the imposing industrial subject matter. The fog enhances the contrast between the dark silhouettes of the buildings and the pale sky, helping to separate the layers of the image. This photograph, titled Children's Street Stone Sets, India Place Street, taken by Robert Blomfield in Edinburgh in 1965, is a poignant example of street photography capturing the essence of urban life in mid-20th century Britain. The image is composed with a strong sense of atmosphere and narrative, creating a powerful emotional connection with the viewer. From a compositional standpoint, the photograph is structured around the use of perspective and leading lines. The cobblestone street stretches diagonally from the lower left to the upper right, leading the eye through the scene. The placement of the young boy in the foreground draws immediate attention, while the secondary figures, a small child on the left and an adult walking away in the distance, contribute to a sense of depth and scale. The fog or mist in the background adds a dreamlike quality, blurring the details of the buildings and enhancing the feeling of isolation in an urban environment. Blomfield uses contrast masterfully, with the dark clothing of the children standing out against the light, reflective stones of the street. The high contrast between the figures and their surroundings helps to separate the subjects from the environment, while also emphasizing the rough texture of the cobblestones, symbolizing the harshness of urban life. The casual posture of the children, particularly the boy in the foreground with his hands resting loosely by his sides, creates an informal, candid moment that reflects a sense of innocence amid the gritty reality of the scene. The photograph captures a transitional moment in time, both socially and visually. The urban landscape with its cobbled streets and dilapidated buildings speaks of an older, decaying Edinburgh, while the children's presence hints at renewal and future possibilities. There is a juxtaposition between the human warmth of the children and the cold, worn architecture surrounding them. The spatial distance between the figures suggests isolation, yet their presence on the same street hints at the shared experience of growing up in this environment. Robert Blomfield was a man who never sought the spotlight. He didn't chase recognition, nor did he ever make a living from his photography. For him, it was never about commercial gain or fulfilling client demands. Instead, he captured life with a sense of pure passion. His work, often hidden away in boxes, was shared only with family and close friends, never seeking the validation of the wider world. Yet the absence of fame never diminished his dedication to the craft. In many ways, Robert's photography was a quiet, intimate act of love for people, for moments, and for the beauty in everyday life. He was meticulous in his approach, processing his own prints, studying the work of his idols, such as Robert Duenot and Henri Cartier-Bresson, and even adopting the discrete techniques of the masters to blend into the background. He lived and breathed photography. "It's a kind of love," he said in a rare interview. "You have to love the image. I love taking photographs. I love photographs. I love people. If it's a good photograph, it's something beautiful." The term amateur photographer is often used to diminish the work of those who, like Robert, create not for profit but for passion. Yet history has shown time and again that such labels can be misleading. Vivian Maier, a Chicago nanny whose remarkable body of street photography was discovered only after her death, stands as a testament to this. And Robert Blomfield, too, belongs to this lineage of unrecognized brilliance, capturing the world around him with an unmatched eye for detail, a deep sensitivity to his surroundings, and a relentless drive to document life as it unfolded before him. Though his first vocation was medicine, his heart was always in photography. Armed with his beloved Nikon, he documented the streets of Edinburgh, the lives of its people, and the changes in its landscape during the 1950s and 60s. Whether it was hospital life, the construction of the Forth Road Bridge, or the transformation of the city itself, Robert's camera was always there, silently witnessing history. His work between 1957 and 1967, during his medical studies and early career as a doctor in Edinburgh and London, offers a window into a world of quiet observation. His lens found beauty in the mundane, in the small, often overlooked details of life. These images, hidden away for decades, are now slowly coming to light, revealing Robert as a silent chronicler of his time, Edinburgh's answer to the great street photographers of Paris and Glasgow. In the final weeks of his life, Robert had the satisfaction of seeing a book of his Edinburgh photographs published to widespread acclaim. For a man who had spent so much of his life in quiet obscurity, this recognition was a fitting tribute. As more of his vast archive is uncovered, it becomes increasingly clear that Robert Blomfield was not just an amateur photographer, but a true artist, a man whose love for life was reflected in every frame he captured. Robert's legacy is one of quiet brilliance. He didn't seek fame, but his work has the power to move us all. He reminds us that true artistry isn't about recognition or accolades. It's about passion, about seeing the world with fresh eyes, and about finding beauty in the everyday. His photographs serve as a testament to a life lived with purpose, with love, and with an unwavering commitment to capturing the fleeting magic of life as it passes by.